What's going on, everybody? It's the Front, and we're here for AEW on TNT review for September the 9th, 2020. We are done with All Out. Full Gear is our next stop, but before that, we were going to have a special anniversary show in the middle of October. But tonight started off a little different. Tony Schiavone's outside the arena, and two black vehicles show up at the same time, MJF and Chris Jericho. So that was where we started there. They bump into each other before the show, exchanging pleasantries. Jericho says MJF got robbed at All Out. And, of course, Moxley cheated because that's all he can do. And says MJF will re-champ very, very soon. MJF says that means the world to him, coming from a legend, believes Jericho. Even having to touch the orange-haired man who puts his hands in his pants and losing him to him not once but twice is criminal. And says that one day he too will regain his championship soon. They say good luck. They both say good luck to each other. They elbow each other's elbows. Walk the opposite directions. And then we see a split screen of both Jericho and MJF, and at the same time they say, "What a loser." That was pretty funny, honestly. So that's how we started off the show. Awesome, nice. It was different, and it's great that they, changed things up a little bit, and then we go straight to the ring for the Lucha Bros with Eddie Kingston, the Blade, and the Butcher, who were not there, actually, versus Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus with an injured, of course, Marco Stunt. So, I mentioned this, and I still don't get why. Pentagon Jr. is no longer Pentagon Jr., he is Penta L0M, which, to me, tells me that AEW had a deal with AAA, and AAA owns the rights to the name Pentagon Jr. So that deal might have been up. Maybe it was a one-year deal and it came up. And now Pentagon is just Pentagon 0M again. So that could be what it is. But this was a hell of a match. One thing that I'm going to have to say about AEW is that they use the tag team wrestling just a little too much. They know they have a huge roster of tag team talent. And I know they want to get that tag team talent out there. And I know they want to make tag team wrestling relevant, which they have. They have done their job. One tag team match a night is fine. We don't need to have those weeks where it's like tag team match after tag team match after tag team match. And it's like we don't need to see tag team matches all the time. Just a little great by me. But Penta getting the best of Jungle Boy early on, but Jungle Boy is able to get out to get the tag and bring in his big man. They drop Penta, early pin attempt, cover 2. Jungle Boy tries to launch himself off Luchasaurus, but slips, barely connects, which they need to do something about that slipping problem. I mean, Matt Sydal damn near broke his neck on Saturday for him to slip, and here Jungle Boy is slipping off of Luchasaurus. They got too much oil in the ring or something. So, Luchasaurus plants Phoenix hard on the mat later on in the match. Luchasaurus, but they need a Penta, which is so odd not to call him Pentagon. But he's Penta L. Can't they just call him Pentagon Zero? That would be something better, because it's so weird to go from Pentagon to Penta. So, Pentagon, but eats a kick from Phoenix. He hops the ropes, gets caught and takes a massive clothesline cover. Penta kicks Luchasaurus to break things up. Phoenix with a gore driver and leg drop combo from both opponents. Pentagon back into the match, Sling Blade and backstab at the Jungle Boy. Double stomp package power driver on Jungle Boy. Phoenix then goes up and does a tope over, taking out Luchasaurus on the outside. This should be the end of the match. 1, 2, 3, but no. While Phoenix is doing this, Pentagon is just watching instead of trying to go for the pinfall. So after that, so he only gets a 2 count, and the commentary mentions how possibly just waiting for his brother to do that dive that cost him the match at that time. Phoenix then goes to the 1-2-0. Eddie thought it was 3. They go for it again, but Jungle Boy throws Phoenix into Penta's way. So Pentagon ends up giving his brother the Canadian Destroyer, Panama Sunrise, out of the corner. Takes the Canadian Destroyer, cover, and then cover 1, 2, 3, because Phoenix was the legal man. So he took a Canadian Destroyer out of the corner and ended up getting pinned. After the match, the Jurassic Express celebrates, but they leave and back in the ring. Pentagon and his brother Phoenix are fighting. They're yelling at each other. They're having words. Not happy. Of course, Phoenix wouldn't be happy that his own brother hit him with the Canadian Destroyer and not his brother. I mean, not Jungle Boy. Blade and Butcher hold them back. Kingston gets to the ring, tells them to stop it. Kingston says they should be running the place and should have won the Casino Battle Royal instead of fighting. Kingston says he's the one helping these guys out, not like your British buddy who's not here. I am. Pentagon shoves Phoenix away when he wants to offer him a hand. Kingston finally convinces the two to shake hands. Kingston then says what I was saying on Saturday, that Eddie Kingston was never eliminated from the Battle Royal. He was on the top rope, but he didn't go over the top rope. He went under and it was up on top and got thrown off as if he was eliminated, even though he never re-entered the ring. So I don't know where they're going to go from here. I know that on the anniversary show that they're going to have in October, that is where we are going to have our world title match between Lance Archer and Jon Moxley. Maybe before that we get a match between these two, Lance Archer and Eddie Kingston, with Eddie Kingston's cronies trying to help him win the match. But in the end, of course, he loses because Lance Archer is just that much of a badass. Jake Roberts and Lance Archer. Roberts tells Moxley they are here to trash people and trash cars and everything else. Because they like it. Says Moxley is going to piss himself and get wet because it was raining when they were doing this. When they get a hold of him, Archer says Moxley has nothing but despair to look forward to when they meet Archer in the ring. He continues that in the end, he is going to be champion because everybody dies. Now, if you did not watch, before the pandemic hit, in January at Wrestle Kingdom, we had Lance Archer versus Jon Moxley for the United States Championship in a death match. Lance Archer was the champion going in. Moxley never lost the championship because of the tsunami that happened last year. He wasn't able to go defend the title, so they stripped him of the title, and Archer ended up winning it. They had a badass hell of a match, and Jon Moxley ended up winning it. Jon Moxley, of course, is still the United States champion for New Japan Pro Wrestling. He has a match set with Kenta coming up, and he would have, if he wanted to go to Japan, he would have to leave here, quarantine for 2 weeks, then have the match, most likely dropping the championship to Kenta, and then going back to the United States, and whenever the pandemic's over, maybe going back to New Japan after that. Unfortunately, because of his contract with AEW, he can't work for New Japan at the LA Dojo to drop the title, which I'm sure if the powers to be at New Japan got in talk with Tony Khan, they could have, of course, I would have Jon Moxley lose the World Championship first before this match was to happen. But say Jon Moxley faces Lance Archer on the anniversary show, Lance Archer beats him, and then the very that next Friday, or the Friday after, whenever they tape their next shows, Moxley versus Kenta happens at the LA Dojo because New Japan Pro Wrestling and Tony Khan got a deal worked out, so Moxley can go have himself like a 10-15 minute match, drop the title to Kenta, and end his current deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling until, of course, the pandemic's over. But I'm looking forward to this match. This should be, and it honestly should not be just your normal everyday going world title match. This has to be a no disqualification. This has to be a street fight death match. Whatever stipulation they want to throw onto it. This needs to be that type of match where these two go out there, can throw everything including the kitchen sink at each other to see who is going to be the AEW champion. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know in the comment section what you believe in this match between Lance Archer. Did you see the one in New Japan Pro Wrestling? Which I did. I thought it was fantastic. Well, I hope we get to see something similar to that. Let me know down below what you think. Matt Hardy then heads out to the ring and thanks the fans in the live crowd and being there. Thanks the fans at home too. Says he suffered a scary fall in All Out and that the outpouring of love has been humbling. After a bunch of tests, he'll make a 100% recovery. He says, "I wish I could just hey, look at my T-shirt, but I'm a lucky guy. I would rather be a lucky guy than anything else." Yes, he is very lucky that he is not hurt worse than he was or dead. A kind of fall like that, if he falls again, if he would have fell just slightly and hit his head just the right way, we're talking paralyzation, we're talking death, we're talking anything of the above. Anything could have happened to Matt Hardy on that fall because of his age and just the fact that it was nasty. If he fell a little bit close, and if they would have fell through the tables right, of course nothing would have happened. But also if they would have fell one way or the other, too far or too close, it still could have been a lot worse. We're very lucky to see Matt Hardy not actually being that injured as we first thought. It says it wasn't what he wanted it to be, but maybe it's a good thing that his feud with Sammy Guevara is over. Hardy says it's time for him to get back to getting healthy. Says when he's cleared, he wants to get back into wrestling matches, winning matches, and go for the AEW World title. Or his first AEW title, my bad. He thanks the fan again, gives his wife a wave, who is in the crowd with their youngest. Apparently, Maxwell and Wolfgang are at home, but their youngest is in a carrier with Rebby, who is in the crowd, so it was great to see her. He thanks them again, waves to his wife, makes his way to stage, and heads to the back. 100% genuine, thoughtful, great to see. He sounded great. I am glad the Sammy Guevara feud is over because I don't know how much more Matt Hardy could handle, his body could handle dealing with what those two were going through. So, yeah, when he's back to being healthy, 100%. If he didn't have a concussion, what is keeping him? People are wondering what's keeping him from wrestling now. I'm just saying it's got to be age. And that fall, even though if he didn't suffer concussion, that thing hurt his body, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he has neck problems now, a little bit of a stiff neck maybe. Maybe his shoulders are hurting too. Who knows? All I know is it's better for him to be safe than sorry. So it might be a couple weeks before we see Matt Hardy in the ring, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It is what it is, and we'll just keep going. And Angelico took on Orange Cassidy. This match didn't last very long. Orange Cassidy gets the win in about 3 minutes. When Orange Cassidy came to AEW, I know a lot of people were skeptical, including myself. And how are they going to defeat this guy? How are they going to make this guy believable? How is anyone going to get behind Orange Cassidy? They've done a great job. Using him less is more. They need to go back to that. He faced Jericho back 14, 15 weeks ago. Then faced him again. And then faced him at All Out. Within a span of 14 weeks, which is 3 months? I think it's time to pull back on Orange Cassidy. Have him go back to being the cool, calm, and collected guy. We don't need to see Orange Cassidy doing the same match over and over and over again, or wrestling the same way week in and week out. His style of wrestling is something we don't need to see that often. We've seen it enough. Now, after the match, it was Pride and Powerful came out with a slapjack and looked like a baton and started beating the bejesus out of him. Then the best friends came out. They chased them off. They said, "This shit's got to stop. You come and attack us from behind. You destroyed my best friend's car. Next, you want to meet us in the drive. You want to come from the parking lot. Why don't you meet us in the parking lot next week?" So next week, it looks like we're going to get a parking lot brawl. I don't know how they're going to do that. We'll have to wait and see. Should be interesting. I remember back when the week one that this pandemic hit, and the best friends were just starting a feud with Death Triangle, the Lucha Bros, and Pac. And those guys challenged Death Triangle to this same exact match on the next TV show. Unfortunately, that match didn't happen. Lucha Bros was stuck in Mexico. Pac went back to the UK, got stuck there. We haven't seen Pac since then. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens there. Then we go backstage, and Alex Marvez is trying to get a word with the Young Bucks after everything happened last Saturday. He knocks on the door, no answer. Knocks on the door again, no answer. Knocks one more time, is like, I'm sorry guys, I can't get any, I've been trying, but I'm getting no answer. Suddenly, the door opens, he turns around, double super kicks, and he's down. The Young Bucks, looking pissed as fuck, slam the door shut, and the Elite are looking worse and worse as we go. Did I miss anything here? No. But yeah, the Elite look worse and worse as they go because more and more seems to be happening to these guys. They're getting, like, what happened with Hangman pissed them off. What happened with everyone else. What happened, it just seems like they're starting with what happened with Kenny Omega on Saturday. They're trying to, it looks like we're getting that dark version of, there's teasers of a dark version of Kenny Omega and a dark version of the Young Bucks. And even Excalibur was shocked with how these guys are acting. And he said he's seen this way before. These guys act this way before. And last time it wasn't a good thing. It will be interesting to see what happens with the Young Bucks. Definitely going to be different. Now, I remember on Saturday we were told that we're going to get Kip Sabian's best man. Not just any man, best man, the best man for their wedding. Whenever that's going to be. And I don't care to see it. But they come out, they shoo away Tony Schiavone, and then he's starting to talk about this best man of his. When some huge tubby guy comes out, and he's like, oh, well, I have no idea who the fuck you are. No, I said you were best for subbing for my Twitch channel, which they're still taking shots at WWE for the edict, which WWE, we'll talk about that on Sunday. But then out came Brian Pillman Jr., who comes out, and he's like, no, we're not even friends, so get the hell out of here. And then it ends up being Rusev, a.k.a. Miro, comes out, new look, looks like his hair, it's like he's either bald or has some blonde, like his short hair is dyed blonde. He comes out, he's pumping the crowd up, big, huge Miro Day chant for this guy. It's going, if they do what WWE would not do with Rusev Day, Miro Day could be the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that they have in AEW. Heck of a way to go for them. Congratulations on getting Miro. It's about time they did something right. Get Miro. I kind of find it funny how he said a couple weeks ago on his Twitch stream that he's done with wrestling, but here he is, coming back. Says 10 years being in the same house. Kept reaching under the same glass ceiling. Keep reaching for the brass rings. But you can take those brass rings and shove them up your ass. Big Miro Day chant. Miro says he likes the sound of it and says he's not just the best man, but he's the best gamer on Twitch. And if people tune in the show this week, you will see him devour people. I am Miro, and I am all elite. Throws the mic down. Crowd was popping. He lifts up Kip Sabian as if they just won the Stanley Cup or something, or a Super Bowl or something. And that is that. Big surprise. I did not expect to see Miro. I expected him being AEW maybe eventually, but I didn't expect to see him now. But it's a hell of a surprise. On top of that, before the show went on the air tonight, about, I'd say 4 or 5 hours beforehand, AEW announced that Tay Conti has officially signed with All Elite Wrestling. WWE, on April 15th, fired 100 plus talent and other, on-screen talent and backstage talent and people in the office. Since the pandemic hit, AEW has released 3 people, 2 because they were over in the UK and they can't get over here anytime soon, 1 because of sexual misconduct, but they have hired Abaddon, Anna Jay, Tay Conti, FTR, Matt Hardy, who came in right at the time as Brodie Lee, Miro, Brian Cage, which he was already signed, but still, he came in at that same time. They have brought in at least 9 people since the pandemic hit. Yet WWE, who makes more money in a month than AEW does all year most likely, had to fire hundreds of people to keep their numbers where they wanted them to be. How sad is that? But hey, Miro is in AEW. I am happy for this guy. I cannot wait to see what happens. I wish they wouldn't have brought him in for the best man of a wedding after everything that happened at the beginning of this year. But hey, he is in AEW. Lana can stay in NXT. I mean, in WWE, where she's just whatever. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I cannot wait to see what happens with Miro after post wedding. Is this going to be a new super bad squad with him and Kip Sabian as a tag team? I know they were doing that with Jimmy Havoc until the speaking out movement. There's just so many questions we don't have any answers to. And I guess we just have to wait till this whole wedding thing's over. Again, great to see Miro. Let's see what happens. Tony Schiavone does a sit-down interview with Hangman Page. Tony asks Page how he's doing. Page says he's feeling good, minus his ribs being banged up. Tony doesn't want the stock answer. He really wants to know how Page is doing. Page says at the show, they had fans there. But for 30 minutes, he didn't hear a sound. Like, everyone was holding their breath. He felt like everybody was just waiting for him and Omega to fall apart. Page says FTR shouldn't have even been the number one contenders, but it was his fault since he cost the Young Bucks the match. It is his fault. He lost 2 friends. Tony brings up Omega walking away after the match and leaving the building. Page says they won a bunch of matches before. Now it's just a matter of climbing back up the mountain, but just like before, they will get through it again. We'll see what Kenny Omega says later in the show. See, Omega, Hangman wants to keep the band together, go out there, and get another title shot. But I don't think, like I said, we'll see what happens there in a minute. Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela, no DQ and no countout match. Tag team match. The reason this match is happening is for 2 reasons. 1, Jake Hager was eliminated by Sonny Kiss. And 2, Jericho and Hager beat the hell out of Joey Janela last Wednesday on TV. So this match was a big, huge brawl. Big, huge fucking match of nothing but weapons, beatdown. Here's my problem with a tag team match under no DQ, no countout rules. Why not just call it a tornado match? Why does, when Sonny Kiss and Jake Hager are sitting on the apron, waiting to be tagged in a no disqualification match where you can jump into the match at any time without having to risk a disqualification, what is the fucking point of having normal tag team rules? Just make it a tornado, no disqualification tornado match and get it over with. Kiss with a flurry of strikes on both opponents, rolling forearm into Hager. Kiss ends on the top rope. Jericho sprays him with a fire extinguisher. Hager lifts and plants Kiss to the mat, then locks in the head and arm submission, and the referee counts to 3. Jericho and Hager are your winners. And then, post-match, Jericho says Inner Circle had a terrible night at All Out, but that's all in the past. Says him and Hager are going to build up their wins to impress the AEW suits, and they are coming for the AEW Tag Team Championships. I love the fact that Jericho doesn't even have to wait a week to come out there and let us know what his next plans are. Other people, it's like they lose a match, and then they go into obscurity. Lance Archer, Brodie Lee for a while, fucking Brian Cage has not been doing shit for who knows how long. He's just toiling around, having matches on Dark, having a match here and there on the TV show, but he's not really doing anything. But Jericho lost at All Out and moved on. And he's going to go, he's already said, well, me and Hager we didn't win it All Out, but that's fine because we're going to go win some matches and win the tag team championships. Now, Jericho has a tag team already with Sammy Guevara called the Sex Gods. Maybe this right here will start to have Sammy Guevara be like, wait a minute, why aren't we going for the tag team titles? Why are you going with Jake Hager? Maybe this is where we start seeing Sammy Guevara feel a little slighted by Chris Jericho and the rest of the Inner Circle because he was in a tag team with Jericho. They had a tag team title shot at one time and it didn't work out. Maybe something like this is what we start seeing Sammy Guevara breaking away from the Inner Circle. We'll have to wait and see. MJF is backstage. in his war room. He says this campaign crew was Dictator John cheated to get his win at the pay-per-view, but he doesn't blame him. Of course he had to cheat because he's Dictator John. He said, I know who to blame is for this, and it's this campaign. This campaign was supposed to create change, and they all blew it. He fires every one of them and tells them to get out. Nina is smiling ear to ear, and MJF says, oh, now you're smiling without me saying something. But I'm tired of looking at your face and your yellow teeth. Get the hell out of here. She leaves crying, which, man, with how much she was smiling, he did her a favor. He's tired of looking at her. Another guy gives him his ring and leaves. Wardlow says, sir. MJF starts yelling at Wardlow about what he did at All Out. Wardlow looks mad. MJF says he should be reminded that MJF is the one who pays his checks, not Tony Khan. MJF says he is his only friend if he has to put him and his family out on the streets, so be it. He asks Wardlow if they has a problem with that. Wardlow says no. MJF says great, and sounds like he has a new plan to work on. So, the seeds for Wardlow and the cracks between Wardlow and MJF continue. Now we have another little piece to the puzzle, as apparently he's paying the checks. He's signing the checks for Wardlow and not Tony Khan. What if that changes? What if MJF is not the one paying him anymore, and that is going to be when Wardlow snaps and just beats the brakes off of MJF? It's going to be interesting. Backstage, Jon Moxley says if he didn't already have enough on his plate, now Lance Archer is the number one contender. Son of a bitch! It's not getting any easier. But he never does. He continues the only way to be an AEW champion is to climb through a mile of crap and then climb a mountain on the other side. He feels like if he's unstoppable when the time comes, when they pass cross, does anybody really want to bet against Moxley? AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR and Tully Blanchard are in the ring to celebrate. A bunch of all the other tag teams, or most of the tag teams, are around the ring and on the stage. Tully says FTR are the greatest tag team champions in the world. Say it was 117 degrees in the ring when they went 30 minutes to win the titles, which, I'm sorry, I could not stand in 130, 107. I don't think that was right. I mean, this isn't Saudi Arabia, but it was Florida. It is Florida, so I wouldn't doubt it. No, thank you. I'll stay up here where it's cool. Says it. Wheeler takes the mic and says the tag team division in AEW is the deepest in the world. Wheeler says it is an honor to wrestle SCU and can't believe what it would have been like if they were still in their prime like 20 years ago. Who knows who would have won that match? Horowitz says they are the top guys in AEW. Turns to Billy, calls him a legend and a multi-time tag team champion, but don't think being in some second-rate Hall of Fame that he and his snot-nosed kid will jump into the front line. That was another little zinger because, yes, Billy Gunn's in the Hall of Fame, and that feels like that's payback for what happened at Raw 25 when DX and the Balor Club beat the hell out of the Revival at the time. So that's a little payback from them. Let's see. He rips on Jungle Boy, Jurassic Express, who eventually head to the ring. FTR says, hold on, there's a celebration instead of a fight. Let's have a toast to FTR and a dumbass dinosaur. They try to get the jump on the guys, but that didn't much luck. The champs bounce from the ring and realize nobody is happy with them. The group then they had one of those plastic containers again, or one of those styrofoam coolers again. Which the only reason they have styrofoam instead of plastic is because it's easy to break over somebody's head and makes it look good. But Marco Stunt grabs that, and while they're on the outside, it dumps the ice on top of them, so the tag team champions get an ice bath. That is going to be happening next week. Tash joins commentary to recap Ricky Starks and Brian Cage beating up Darby Allin during the Casino Battle Royal. Allin's music hits. Out comes Ricky Stark dressed as Allin for a second time. Okay, the first time gets a little bit of a laugh. It's funny and stuff. The second time and on then, it's overkill. Stark says there's a reason why nobody wants to tag with Allin and why he's sitting at home, hurt and alone. It's because he's reckless. He continues that the next time Allin shows his face in AEW, Starks is going to beat his ass. That feud is going to feel like going to be one of those ones that never dies. Just please space it out. Tay Conti versus Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero. Conti showing a little emotion as she comes out to the ring and has announced today that she officially signed with AEW. The emotion was real. It felt real, and it's great to see a talent that WWE gave no chance to be anything more than a jobber in NXT. She was never going to be even close to being a top star in WWE because she didn't fit their criteria. Yes, she was blonde, but she wasn't. I don't want to say she doesn't have the best. She's not like the best English speaking person. I mean, she's from Brazil. She has that Brazilian accent, and it's something that Vince McMahon probably is a big turnoff to him. So that she had no chance of doing anything. They never built, like NXT never gave her any program, never had her do anything special. I mean, she was, I believe, in the first, I think she was in both main classes or one, and they just never gave her the full run. It was never going to give her a run with the NXT Championship, and she would have never made it on the main roster, but to be nothing but a jobber. So it's great to see her on TV, in hopefully joining the Dark Order with Anna Jay, so the team of Tay J can run the women's division for the rest of 2020. But before that, she takes on Nyla Rose, and she holds her own. Absolutely holds her own. Guerrero with an eye rake, maybe it looked a little weird, because we couldn't see actually what she did. Quickly back to Rose to the floor, throws Conti into the barricade, then ends up getting shoved into the barricade herself, then to the apron. Conti with a knee rolls Rose back into the ring. Conti up to the second rope, leaps and hits a crossbody for a 2 count. Rose recovers for a moment. Conti locks in an armbar. Rose lifts Conti for a beast bomb and picks up the victory. Post-match, Vicky Guerrero with multiple screeching excuse me's says they're here to make a statement and aren't going anywhere. And then Rose goes to beat up Conti. Out comes Sheeta with a kendo stick to hold Rose off, who of course is the number one contender. Rose and Vicky Guerrero leave, and Sheeta helps Conti up. I was hoping this would be what we see. I'm sure eventually we are going to see Tay Conti join the Dark Order to be partners with Anna Jay, as she should be. They worked well together in that tag team tournament, and it would be great for the Dark Order overall to have the Dark Order is missing. They're helping build Anna Jay up. Anna Jay is starting to look a lot better, and the fact that woman is less than a year, like almost a little under a year into her wrestling career, and she's that fucking good. The Dark Order that's at least a positive coming out of the Dark Order. Hopefully the same thing is going to happen for Tay Conti. If she was to join the Dark Order, you would have 2 of the strongest candidates for women's championship matches later down the line than most of the talent in the AEW. Cody to make an announcement after the show. Back to a clip of Marzard getting double super kicked by the Young Bucks. Commentators wondering what's going to happen. And they each have been fined $5,000. So $5,000 for the kicks for both of them. So that's $10,000 in all. Now, earlier in the day, John Ross sat down with Omega and asked him about what happened over the weekend. Omega says when you've done this for 20 years, you win belts and you lose them. He says him and Paige did have chemistry in the ring, and that's why he couldn't say no to working with him. The former champs says they were exceptions for him being the ace of the company. There were people expecting him to be the ace of the company, be the inaugural champion. That didn't happen. He lost his way until he found Hangman, and he spent about a year dedicating his craft to the tag team scene, because at the time the tag team scene wasn't as solidified as it is now. Yes, they had the Lucha Bros, yes, they had Jurassic Express, Private Party, and all these other ones, but they didn't really have. SCU was, if you look back on it now, SCU was the answer was the right call for the tag team tournament if the Young Bucks weren't going to be in the finals. If you look back on when they did that tag team tournament and the Young Bucks putting over Private Party in the first round, obviously in the end they made the right call with who were the first ever tag team champions. And here we are now with FTR being the third ever. And the fact that Omega with Hangman gave us one hell of a tag team title run. Ross asked Omega, respectively, after he said, yes, you've earned respect from the fans and everyone else. What is next for him? He says the tag team division is really tough, but if he wants to get the rematch, he should rethink those plans. Omega says he gave a year of his life to the tag team division and wants to move back to single competition and maybe give us a little bit of what we were expecting from him from day one. So Hangman wants to get the tag team titles back, wants to go for the rematch, and Omega's like, no, I'm done. Is this over between these two? No. We've got to have a blow-off between these. You just don't sit there and have a team that were the tag team champions for over 200-plus days just go off on their own, go their separate ways, and expect it to all be just fine. No. I fully expect this to be a blow-up. This is going to probably lead to Full Gear and Hangman taking on Kenny Omega in a singles match with the winner just maybe becoming number one contender, maybe something else, I don't know. But I fully expect those guys to have a blow-off match eventually. Next week on the show, it will be on Thursday or Wednesday, depending on if the NBA playoff series ends early. And the only series that I can think of is a Western Conference series because the East is almost done. The East, they're going to have... The East are almost done because the Boston Celtics and Toronto Raptors are gone to Game 7. That's going to probably happen on Saturday or on Friday. And then when that's over with, then the only one I can think of that could go that way is probably the Clippers and whoever they're playing. But yeah, so next week it's going to either be on Thursday or Wednesday. We'll find out later. But though, we will have Best Friends versus Santana Ortiz in a parking lot brawl. FTR versus Jurassic Express non-title match. Thunder Rosa versus Ivelisse for, and this is great, the NWA Women's World Championship is going to be on the line. I am excited about that. Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Private Party. MJF in action, and Hangman versus Frankie Kazarian. Out of that entire thing, honestly, Thunder Rosa and Ivelisse, after what Thunder Rosa and Shida did at the pay-per-view, is the match I'm actually looking forward to. NWA Women's Championship. The last time we had a non-AEW title on the line on TV was, I don't think we've had one on TV, but the last time they did one was the AAA Mega Championship was defended on Dark at least twice. And of course, before AEW had TV, the AAA Tag Team titles were defended twice at AEW All Out and Double or Nothing. So this should be great. I'm glad to see Thunder Rosa still getting involved, and they're still having that little bit of a partnership. But they need to do more than just having one person. You have Nick Aldis. I want to see Nick Aldis taking on anybody. Like, let me see. Let me think here. Nick Aldis versus... screw it. MJF. MJF versus Nick Aldis. Or something like that. That would be fantastic, even though they're both heels. So, yeah, definitely would be great. And then we go to Brodie Lee with John Silver, for whatever reason, versus Dustin Rhodes for the TNT Championship. I see Dustin is still rocking the blue instead of red. So, Rhodes gets the ring after Lee during the match announcement. The action quickly spills out to the floor, brawling Rhodes with a back body drop, sending Lee onto the side of the table. Rhodes sends Lee into the steel steps, trying to fight back. So it gets kicked by Dustin. The two wrestlers make their way to the ring, and the bout gets officially started. Dustin is working over the champion, gets to the corner. He's beating up. Dustin got a lot of work in, holding his own, but in the end, Dustin drops Lee with a lariat, cover 2, Lee's up 2. Thrust kicks, discus lariat, 1, 2, 3, and Brodie Lee retains the championship. Hard fought match. Dustin going out there, putting the young star over is the perfect way for this to go. Post-match, Dark Order come out to celebrate. QT Marshall's knocked out, and dumped into the ring. Lee see Colt Cabana and still mad at him for costing the group the win at the pay-per-view. He sends it to the back. Uno talks with Colt as they head to the back. Dustin is picked up, and Lee kicks him between the legs. Lee gets the title and holds it up high. And that's how the show goes off the air. And then we get a breaking news from Cody, who says, you should go big. He says he goes big or go home. He says he talks about going big or go home. And since he's injured right now, he should go home or not. And shows off the debut of the Go Big Show, a competition talent show that will involve feats of strength, with winner receiving $100,000. The judges are Cody Rhodes, Rosario Dawson, Jennifer Nettles, and Snoop Dogg. The Real Home Show is coming soon to TBS. It is hosted by Brett Kreischer, and it's not affiliated with AEW, but it's going to have some promotion from AEW because Cody is a part of it. So that was Cody's big announcement. Heck of a show tonight. Next week is going to be even a better. It's going to be, I think, a better show for sure. I'm not saying this was a bad show. Definitely one hell of a show. AEW is just firing on all cylinders, and I can't wait to see what happens as we get closer and closer to Full Gear, which is happening in 2 months. Not too far away, but we'll see what happens. Until then, this is your AEW on TNT review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I'll see you guys Friday for SmackDown. Till then, my name is The France, and see you guys later.